Sheets Haber and Jake Rohde. Guys, we have another, obviously, as every Sunday will be, a huge slate. And there are a lot of different ways to go. There's a lot of attention on the afternoon games again. What are you doing, Sheets? We'll start with you, and then we'll go over to Rohde so he can do a little building. I know he's catching up a little bit. He just got back from a party at a casino, so we'll let you start talking, Sheets.
Well, right now, that's exactly what I'm doing. I am what I did was I've been on top of like the different updates and stuff like that. I did a projection push with Madison in and Cook out. So I'm just actually rerunning stuff. I didn't want to get too into like building too many lineups throughout the course of the week, but here's one thing again that I struggled with last week in that I didn't want to just get to the same freaking teams everybody was getting to, you know, so what I'm doing this week is I'm actually forcing in a couple of takes, which is probably not the greatest idea in the world, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to intentionally do a couple of things, and this is, you know, you can give me your thoughts on this or whatever. I'm intentionally going less in the Rams Tampa game. All my projections are getting me there. You know, everything in, you know, numbers wise telling me to get there. I'm not doing it. I'm going to try to get less of it. I just feel as though it's going to be a more of a defensive game than people think. I think that I'm going to get a little less. The other thing that I am going to do is in the running back position. And I saw this coming like early in the week, that there's not going to be one, as far as like the high performers. I didn't feel as there was going to be one guy I kind of had to have, and I was going to try to play the ownership game. But then I realized that over the course of the week, people just start to gravitate. You know, that's the way the industry works. There are a couple of guys that for whatever reason, projection be damned, I'm just going to get in, because I'm hearing a lot about all these guys, and I just don't want to play. I don't want to play Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't want to play Mike Davis. You know, like, these are just guys that I just don't really feel like playing. And there are a couple of guys that I kind of do want to play. They're not projecting well. I'm just going to do anyway. So I'm going to be forcing in the following players, just so everybody knows. I'm going to be forcing in James Robinson. I'm going to be forcing in Nick Chubb. And I'm going to be forcing in your boy from earlier in the week, okay, the Cordell Patterson. Now, Cordell Patterson's obviously more off the board or whatever it is, but I like those other ideas. I just looking at this thing, and I'm looking at the slate. I'm like, you know what? You know, the Arizona game, yeah, it could be fasting. Why don't I just pick the freaking Jacksonville's best player? You know what I mean? Like, why don't I just play freaking James Robinson when he's not going to be owned? Why don't I play Nick Chubb in a really, really tremendous game strip when he's probably not going to be owned? So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing this right now. I'm going to be like redoing all my stuff with the Alexander Madison, see how much of him I get, and then I'm going to force in those other guys.
Yeah, it feels like, I mean, look, we still don't know. We don't have officially a word on Cooks, right?
No.
On Cook. So we're just on FanDuel. Make sure that, you know, you it's actually it is a slate. Like, I like your takes. I think that this is a day where on FanDuel you can play running backs in your flex. I don't think you should do it on DraftKings. I'll put it that way. But I think that because of the pricing of Barkley and Madison, and then if Cooks is in and you want to just take out Madison and play, you know, either Moore or Kirk, if you leave yourself enough money to do it, that's what I would do. But on DraftKings, I don't think you need to play Madison even. I mean, I think it's an okay play, but I'm going to be much heavier on the Vikings passing game personally, is the way I'm going with it. Thielen, and I have, you know, almost 20% of Jefferson and about 15% of Thielen right now. And I have, sadly, and I really don't like it, like with the field, 15% KJ Osborne, just because I like the game. So go ahead, Brody, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're looking at in your main builds?
Yeah, what Sheets says is a little – I'm kind of opposite of that. I'm kind of like forcing in some of these guys. Like, I really like Seattle game. I really like Russell in that game. DK I'm heavier on than Lockett. I really like Kyler Murray. I know a lot of people like Hopkins, but I'm all in on Rondell Moore today. That's how you say his name correctly. I think I screwed it up. But
no, you nailed it.
Oh, I did? Okay.
Maybe the first time I think you got the name right, but you did.
Yeah, there we go.
Now that we're out of baseball,
I love it, Bobby. I love it. Yeah, I still like a little Mahomes lineups in there. Not many people talking about him, but he's like always the guy, right? Just put him in, try to figure out how to get his guys in there. I got a lineup that I like with Pringle. I don't like Pringle, but I mean, I got him in one. I mean, 3K guy you can get. He did have a touchdown. He needs to get more targets, so I think he's gonna get some more looks. So we just got to see what they do there. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm going. I'm kind of eating a lot of that, and then trying to figure out how to get a little bit different in there.
Well, you know what? You said something similar to me actually. Like the team, like you mentioned Minnesota, Seattle. What I'm doing is when I force out like the Rams and Tampa, that's what I'm getting. I'm getting a whole bunch of that Minnesota, Seattle actually.
Yeah, but I think a lot of other people are going to be getting that
Okay.
as well. I think DK and Lockett are very high owned
Okay.
today. So you still got to figure out ways to get different. I don't mind the Chubb call. I talked about him on the show this week.
Oh, you did?
with
Okay.
DFS picks. I got a little bit of him sprinkled in. I'll probably up his exposure in MME. He's a good FanDuel play. I think he can get some touchdowns to get off the chalk. A question in there in the chat. Do you like Trevor Lawrence? Yes, I like Trevor Lawrence. I have a lot of run backs in that Jacksonville game. I'm really heavy on the Arizona side, but I also I have some Trevor stacks with Rondell Moore, or even get to Hopkins on the run back.
I'm pulling in the Trevor Lawrence thing like I used to do it. Like I am playing him. I'm actually, but the weirdest part is because of the way the game script could work for him in his favor is like playing the Arizona defense with him. Like, you know what I mean? Like you could play just one of the Arizona run backs, play Trevor Lawrence and two of the receivers and just, but again, they turn the ball over. It's like the old rule we used to do with Phillip Rivers. Like the guy's going to turn the ball over a couple times every game and give you a chance at a pick six. So you play the defense against him in the stacks. I actually I'm doing that with my Lawrence lineups personally. I do like Lawrence. I have about 8% or 9% of them. I don't have like a crazy amount. But I'm very, very, very high on Kyler Murray. And honestly, the Hopkins thing, if he's at all limited, I actually think that works well for Kyler Murray. You're going to see maybe him take off a little bit more. Maybe the receivers can't get as much separation. You're going to see, like you mentioned, Rondell Moore. I like Chris Kirk also. And I'm playing Hopkins. I'm going to play 20% of Hopkins. I really am not going to steer clear of a take I like. And that is my game. I have 25% Marvin Jones, 20% Shenault, and 20% Chark as well. So I'm very much into that game. It's my heaviest exposure by pretty good ways. I am trying to get the pairings of receivers, whether it be mostly it's I have a little more Woods than Kupp, but mostly Woods with and Godwin on the other side. I don't think it's as good of a matchup. I mean, you're not going to have total shadow coverage, but you have one of the best cornerbacks in football that's going to be on Evans. So I don't think I think it lends itself more to being a Godwin week, which I don't think is going to be any bizarre take. I think other people are doing that. And I'm throwing some Evans in just in case. But I do like the receiving parts of that game as well. I'm going to real quick run through some ownerships and we'll talk a little bit about some positions, but tell me how crazy. I mean, I already know that Rody thinks it's a terrible take with my Patterson thing. I'm okay with it, but I am still 25% Patterson and 30% on Yahoo, 25 on DK. I have way too much Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I really would like to change that. The guy who I'm thinking about trying to get in is Tyson Williams. I think that you're going to see they're basically, you have the worst run defense against the best running rush offense, and it works for Lamar, but it also works for Tyson Williams as well. He's the guy I'm trying to get more of right now, and I'm probably going to try and switch some Edwards-Helaire over to him. I do have 20% Barkley on DraftKings and like 70% Barkley on FanDuel, maybe a little higher actually. I really don't. Even if they're still going to bring him along somewhat slowly, it's just too good of a matchup and too good of a price for him. If we knew he was a full go and it's week one and everything is all good, he's an 8,500 running back, just like the other guys are, and he's too cheap in my opinion. I have 15% James Robinson, but I might want to get a little bit more of that. I do have like 20% Leonard Fournette, which I think is another one I would like to get less of as well. But I think that there is an upside for Fournette in this game against the Rams. And I'm a Rams person, but that's just my take. I also think the Cincinnati receivers are really interesting. Tyler Boyd and Chase. I also think on the other side of that game, Chase Claypool is a really good option. Without Deontay Johnson, I just want to have a little bit of exposure to that. And honestly, who I have the highest ownership of, I think, on DraftKings is the Bengals defense, just because it's the one defense that I can fit in that makes everything work. If I had to pick one defense on FanDuel, it's by far the Bills. I don't think anybody's even close. You have winds howling out there in Buffalo. So I really think that the Bills defense against Washington is a really, really good route to go. I didn't get to many Josh Allen stacks because of that win. Maybe it'll end up being a mistake. I just think there's better spots to try and target. Where are you guys both ending up with Lamar Jackson? Sheets, why don't you go first?
Yeah. I'm like building now, so I don't know exactly how much I'm going to get from it. I think in cash games or whatever it is. I think you could always make a great case for Lamar Jackson, and I like your Tyson Williams idea. It's just the same. It's the same issue that I always have. I don't think that, and this is I guess why I didn't win the Millie last year. I don't ever play him in like big field GPPs, because I'm just such a my OCD with needing to stack him. You know what I mean? Like in my head, just kind of gets me away. I don't think I played him in a single Millie Maker lineup last year, and I think he won a Millie. I think he won it for people a couple of times. So
Yeah.
I'm not really getting to him. Is that? Am I doing that wrong? I mean, should I be just carrying with Andrews and Sammy Watkins or whatever? I mean,
yeah, I think Watkins and the tight end are both in good spots. This is, by the way, this is the first week I can remember in a long time where I think double tight end is really viable on DraftKings. Like you have 5 awesome actually there's like 9 awesome tight end plays. Hawkinson, Pitts, Higbee, obviously Gronk, obviously Mark Andrews, Kelsey. These are all awesome plays, and I love Evan Ingram today, assuming that he's a full go, which is where I'm at right now. Devontae Booker inactive. Yeah, so okay, that's interesting. Galladay and Ingram officially active. Okay, that's good. Just wanted to make sure. Yeah, I don't know. I have 6% Lamar Jackson. I'm not playing. I'm not overweight on him like crazy. I do like Watkins as a pairing with him. Where do you stand with Lamar today and sort of that whole game? Because I think that is a good game, that Detroit game. I'll get to the questions in a minute, guys.
Yeah, I think it's going to be chalky. So I kind of went underweight on it. I don't have as much Lamar. I'm getting to a little bit more like on a higher dollar build. I threw or not like a higher dollar, but one of the blitz, the 222 blitz or whatever. I put a golf stack in there with like a Tyson Williams run back. So I get a little bit of that. Maybe I sprinkle in a little Marquise Brown, and I might try to get a little Mark Andrews in my 150 on FanDuel a little bit to get a little get some of the tight end exposure there. But yeah, Lamar wise, I usually don't play a lot of Lamar, and either he burns me or I fade him and do well. I don't know.
I would say in general, I think it's probably a mistake that I don't
Probably.
have more Lamar personally. I'm starting to look at my lineups and I'm going, I mean, this guy's ceiling is through the roof. I mean, he could run for 200 yards in this kind of a matchup. This is a really, really bad Lions defense, in my opinion. They can get run all over. All right, a couple questions here. What about Scotty Miller? So, okay, Scotty Miller, he's still going to have to compete for time with Tyler Johnson as the third receiver. So I have Miller in like one lineup in a game stack, but I'm not going crazy with the Miller thing. I'm not loving the spend downs. That's why I ended up with some Osborne. I ended up with some Cephas. I ended up with some Hamler, who I'm just going to ride out 5-10% every week, and just one day he's going to make me a fortune. But I do like the I don't know. I like the Scotty Miller. I think Scotty Miller's fine in a game stack. I don't think he's a great play on his own, and I think it's probably a little thin for me. I really like spending up at receiver, spending down at running back this week personally. Sheets, are you getting to any Scotty Miller, or who do you like as a low-owned receiver?
No, so like I said, I'm going to be trying to get off of that game. So if I'm going to get off that game, I think the last guy I'm going to have is Scotty Miller. Although I can make the other argument, right? Like you could still play that game and not get on the chalkier ends of it,
Right.
I don't know. Again, I'm still kind of building, so I'm still not exactly sure where I'm going to end up, because it's so funny when I'm trying to do what I want to do, guys. When I'm trying to force in these running backs, my optimizers are not liking me. I mean, they're really hating me. They are telling me that I am in bad freaking shape if I attempt to do that. Talk to me about a kind of a chalkier wide receiver. Talk to me about Marvin Jones. Are you playing him?
Heavily. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's my favorite game of the week. I've watched the 2 Jacksonville games so far because they've been playing so fast, and I've been trying to target those games. And you get Marvin Jones, who definitely, just by at quick glance, now this could always change week by week as Trevor Lawrence is still young. I think DJ Chark could easily break the slate with a couple big plays. But I think he does seem the most comfortable with Marvin Jones, and has looked for him especially inside the red zone. So I'm a fan of Jones, and I like Shenault. I'll be overweight on all those guys. That's just the game I'm targeting. So basically everybody in that game who's viable will be 20%-ish on my ownership. How about you, Rody?
Yeah, I love that game. Like Sheets was saying earlier, like you try forcing any of these lower owned running backs in, you're really getting a hit on the median projection on your points total. On DK, I'm trying to target a little bit of the lower running backs as well and try to pay up for some of the receivers, but then you tend to find to get probably similar builds with other people are doing that. I think a lot of people are targeting DK, Lockett, Hopkins, some of those higher total games. So I do love the idea of DJ Shark in there too. So he's a guy that I'm going to be on some.
JJJ asks if he says he's getting Michael Carter. Is he crazy? I actually could see the path for Michael Carter outscoring Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Running back for the Jets, in case anyone doesn't know who he is. I'm okay with it. I don't love it. I have like 3% of it right now, but I probably would like to switch a little bit of my Edwards-Helaire, especially in like the Millionaire Maker and stuff, to a little bit of Michael Carter, to a little bit of Cordarrelle Patterson, to a little bit of, sadly, puke Mike Davis. But I right now, for some reason, I can't seem to get off of some of these CEH lineups, and I really would like. I don't want to be this heavy on this guy.
Just so you guys know, you mentioned Bob. You mentioned Yahoo. You're playing Yahoo today?
I didn't mention Yahoo.
Oh, I thought you did.
No, I'm not playing Yahoo today, but it would be kind of fun. It's the Sundays are stressful enough to me. Like, you know what I mean? You're trying to.
Yeah. So just so you guys know, I mean, so again, I do my Yahoo thing every week. I put my 20 lineups in whatever. I put in 400 at the beginning of the year. I got like 850 in there now, so I already doubled my money on there. And I'm doing the same thing this week, and I'm getting all kinds of Kansas City. By the way, on Yahoo. If anybody plays Yahoo over there, and the other guy who's really cheap over there is the Pittsburgh guy again, Harris, the running back over there. So.
Right. All right.
And I'm 150. I'm 150ing the FanDuel again.
Yeah. Let's talk about some of these other receivers because I'm getting, like I mentioned, I'm getting a lot of Jefferson, Metcalf, some Lockett, some Thielen. I have tons of Moore, Jones. I have that whole passing game of that game. And then I have Keenan Allen, Robert Woods, Chris Godwin are my highest owned receivers. I don't think that's anything earth shattering. Where do you stand with those guys, Rody?
Sorry, say that. What receiver are you on?
Allen, Woods, and Godwin.
Allen, Woods, and Godwin. Yeah, I kind of like Godwin a little bit. I'm getting to him. I have like probably 0 Evans on the other side. I don't know. Just I'm not getting to that one as much. I'm trying to get off that a little bit. I think I just like these other more higher end guys in the higher scoring games that I'm targeting. I don't know. I don't think I can get as much there. I don't mind them in the mix a little bit, but not stacks or anything.
Well, what do you think? I have an idea. What do you think of playing the Tennessee wide receivers?
That's a good idea.
I think that's a great idea that I just am not getting to because I like these other guys too much. I honestly love it, especially Brown. I prefer Brown this week over Julio. But I honestly, just to be completely honest, I only have like a couple lineups with it because I like the other receivers just way too much. I love the Woods, Allen, Godwin, and then you get the Minnesota guys in Seattle. It's so hard for me once I'm commit to something. And then of course like the Arizona Tech game, and I just can't play everybody. But I do like the idea of it. I just
because I think talking theory a little bit. I mean, you're going to get. I'm not these to be that high owned, but you're going to get a higher owned Derrick Henry. So if you do play the wide receivers in Tennessee, you get a little leverage off of that as well. And both those guys are really good. AJ Brown and Julio Jones. So
yeah.
Do we have confirmation that DeAndre Hopkins is playing? By the way.
Yeah, he's in.
Okay.
He's officially active. That's what we got. I'm not going to speculate any more on it because I don't have any extra information. But that's what I've got right now. I would love to try and turn this one lineup I've got into something else, but
you mentioned, by the way, a double tight end lineup. A double tight end lineup. Well, let's talk about tight ends for a second because one double tight end lineup that really obviously that people are going to get to, I think, is going to be the Hawkinson, what's his name, Mark Andrews thing because they're both coming out of the same game, and they're probably the top 2 targets for each quarterback, right? So I think people will get to that. What do you think? Rody or whoever about Higbee from a tight end from the Rams game.
I like Higbee. He's 4K on DK. I definitely like that play. Yeah, that's the solid tight end play over there. He's in my pool. I got him.
Because I like the Chargers cornerbacks, I do want to say that I think Hardman and Pringle are more viable though, because I do think that they're going to pay a lot of attention to Hill, and I think it's bigger Kelsey week is my take than it is the other two. That's where I'm at with that game. Where do you stand on that? If you're going to have to pick players from that game, Sheets, and then jump over.
Which game the Ram? Which game?
The KC side.
Yeah, I don't want to play Hilaire, so I'm gonna have a lot of exposure on Yahoo and also on FanDuel. I think I'm gonna get some. Right now, like KC is my most stacked team on FanDuel as well. So if I look at those, I mean, it's nothing particularly earth-shattering. I'm going to have Kelsey, and I'm going to have Hill. You know, I'm not getting the Hardman or the Pringles or anything like that. That's Rhodey's business. You know, Rhodey knows Pringle better than ever. You know what I mean? Like, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in the showdown, maybe. But I'm not doing that.
Like the way they play KC, you could literally play you could play Pringle, Hardman, and Kelsey. I really think that's not like crazy. Probably not going to do a bunch of it, but it definitely isn't the worst thing in the world. What about like here's a general question. Where do we stand with like a Cephas or Barrios versus KJ Osborne? How about you, Rhodey?
I'm really liking Hawkinson out of that lineup. Cephas, I'm not really getting to that at all. And Osborne, I'm getting to a little bit, but I'm really heavy on Justin Jefferson today on that side of it today. I think I'm going mostly all in on that. And I got Osborne sprinkling because he's cheap on DK, and I needed a couple cheap guys in that build, and he's projecting okay to get some looks from Kirk. You know, I think that because that game's going to score high, so I think they're going to be throwing the ball a lot in Minnesota. So any of those three receivers you can really do well with.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Don't hate my man Pringle Sheets. I don't play a lot of 3K punt guys. So the Osborne and Pringle, those are the only lower guys I'm getting to really today.
Well, you know what? That's again, whenever you say that, that's really a big deal to me. So you're not the type of guy that usually goes for the 3K guys. So again, I talk about this a lot in different concepts. Like if someone that doesn't usually play those guys get to them, I think that everybody should pay a little extra heed to that. So I'm gonna give that another look also, because I usually don't get to those guys either. So I'll take a look at that. I'm looking at my FanDuel lineups, for example. Like I have nothing particularly. I mean, I got basically like all the Madison and Barkley actually. I mean, that's where I'm chalky. You know, I got both those guys. Talk to me a little bit about your because I thought about this, Bob. You mentioned Leonard Fournette. I don't know, if this is like an earth-shattering take, but he happens to look good. You know what I mean? Like he lost weight. He's pretty agile. And I don't know. Are you getting a decent amount of him, or are you just kind of like sprinkling him?
I have like 20%, which is more than I want.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, I have a ton of him on DK. I don't know how to get him out of there. I'm on that 5K, like that lower owned tier running back around 5K. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, the thinking for me with Fournette is, I mean, being a Rams fan, as good as this defense is, they tend to over pursue. Everybody's trying to get the quarterback every time, and when you do that, you end up giving up some big plays both to the running backs and receivers. So he also is a different way to get exposure to that game at a cheap price tag that I think is going to be a very, very high scoring game. Even though the Rams have a great defense, but they're going to give up points. And what's great about Fournette this year, you look at him; he's at 9 catches through 2 games. That was the part of his game that wasn't really happening in the past. He's had 11 targets so far. He did have a fumble, and he forced Brady to throw an interception because the ball went off his hands once. Other than that, I agree, he looks really good to me. So I like the idea of getting some Fournette. I just think I probably have a little more than I'd like. And I just did drop my for what it's worth, my Clyde Edwards-Helaire ownership a little bit. Where are you standing with guys like Eckler?
I love Eckler today. I got a ton of them. I know we talked about Allen is probably why you said you had a lot of Keenan Allen, right? Like I didn't get to as much of him today as I would probably want because I'm higher on Eckler. I'm higher on sprinkling Mike Williams in for the touchdowns a little bit cheaper, not much cheaper. So, but yeah, Allen's a beast. I'm going to have that game. I really like some of those guys in that game. I'm just more spread out than just like a lock button on that game. So yeah, I really like that play.
I think that game's going to perform.
But the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard for it not to, right? Like it really is. The only issue with the Dallas, Chargers game was they just 3 plays, 3 touchdowns taken back, 3 turnovers inside the red zone. But they move the ball up and down the field. One thing the Chiefs are going to do is they're not going to fuck up. They're going to score, and when they're going to score, we have an offense that's as talented as the Chargers, and I love Herbert. I think that this is going to be that's a really good game to target. But there are other ones too. The one guy I'm not getting as much of, even though I have a lot of the game, I have a lot of the receiver, the Metcalf and Jefferson. I'm not playing as much Russell Wilson as I thought I might this week. He's the one I have 30% of my things are Murray, and another 10% are Trevor Lawrence. So I'm not getting to as much of that, but I'm going to mention 2 guys who I'm afraid of being a little bit underweight on, Wilson and Daniel Jones. Where do you guys stand with those 2 quarterbacks?
Wait, so I'm going to, since you mentioned, I'm going to tell you who another guy that I'm really thinking about forcing in, like a guy that I know that I have too little of, and I can give you every reason why not to play him. But if I don't have Alvin Kamara, I'm probably going to be pissed off at myself. I mean, I know all of it. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't looked right. New England's going to take him away, whatever it is. But you're getting Alvin Kamara at like 0% ownership. You know what I mean? I think I'm gonna have to try it.
Yeah, I agree in principle. I just am finding it hard to do. But I totally like the idea of it. I think we have to I think you have to go out of your way to force it if you're going to make that happen.
Yeah.
That's just my personal take.
So you were asking about the quarterbacks? I'm sorry.
Yeah. So what about Wilson and Daniel Jones? Because I do have one of my big buy-ins with Daniel Jones, one of my big buy-ins with Russell Wilson, but mostly other than that, I don't really have them. How about you guys?
Yeah, not much.
How about you, Rudy?
I got a lot of Russell Wilson.
Wilson, yeah. I thought you were talking about Daniel Jones. Sorry.
Yeah, Jones. I like the price on DK. He's popping a lot for the optimizer. But man, I might build one lineup late here and a smaller, like take a shot on him type thing. Get a little really different ownership perspective on the lineup. But I'm not getting to a lot of them. No, I like Barkley today. So I'm playing that side on the touchdowns.
Yep, that makes sense to me. I do think that I like Barkley too. I actually both Edwards-Helaire, although I like Edwards-Helaire less paired with Mahomes, I would use him more in my Herbert part of that game. But I think that Barkley, you could, like, if you want to play Barkley and Daniel Jones, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Barkley can catch the ball out of the backfield, so there's no problem. I don't see that as being like a bad negative correlation where others might think it is. They finally figured out he can throw the field. Yeah, I get the Daniel Jones. I totally, like I said, I've got him at 8% right now, which is only a couple lineups really for me. In the big string of things, I want to keep him in like maybe those, but I do think that he is a very viable play. I just am so sided with Kyler Murray, Trevor Lawrence. I do have Justin Fields as the same kind of a play. We play Justin Fields to Robinson or alone. I think that's fine. All right, let's talk about some, this double tight end thing is going to keep haunting me. And the fact that I'm not doing it right now just because of my habits, it's probably a mistake because we've got the Evan Ingram who we like. I love Kyle Pitts today. I love Tyler Higbee, and I love the price on Tyler Higbee. Hawkinson should have a monster day. I mean, this guy's had 1 million targets. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. Just you can always play him. Darren Waller is even against a good defense, I actually think it works out better for him against a good defense because they're going to have to target him more. Where are you guys siding with your ownership for tight ends this week? Sheets, why don't you go first?
So I guess I should talk about the way I kind of do things. So I don't really like try to get like certain, tight ends necessarily owned. So it's like what I try to do is I kind of like just figure out which teams I'm going to, which teams come into the stacks well and where I end up. Like, so right now I have, again, just only because I'm forcing them out, right? I would probably have more of Higbee. But right now I have probably about 30% of Higbee on DraftKings.
I have 25, so I'm with you.
Yeah. But Hawkinson certainly makes a lot of sense. I have like 33% of him, but just kind of some random guys, by the way, that I figured I would throw in there that, that are good players who you want to throw in as a one-off or whatever it is. I mean, you could play Noah Fant again, if you want to. I mean, again, like he's talented and it's a tight end position. Anything can happen. He's certainly not as good of a player as any of the premier guys like Kelce, Waller, Hawkinson, even even Andrews. But I'm getting maybe 10% of Fant. Maybe that's a sprinkle. But I think in general, it's Hawkinson for me. I have 33% of him. Higbee 33%. Andrews, I only have 10 right now, but quite honestly, I'm kind of rebuilding my DraftKings. I'm totally good with FanDuel for some reason. Totally good with Yahoo, but DraftKings is effing me up right now. And the other guy, by the way, if you're going to think of playing like any of this Falcons game, I mean, isn't Kyle Pitts? I mean, wasn't he supposed to be like?
Yeah, I love Pitts, especially against the Giants, who just for the last 4 years have just bled out production to tight ends all over the place.
Right.
And Kyle Pitts is basically you're getting a wide receiver at a tight end, and the guy who's going to. I mean, I think he could see close to double-digit targets this week. I really do. So I think he's extremely viable, and that's why the more I look at it, the problem is there is some cheaper. Like I like Tyler Boyd quite a bit. I like Chase in that same for the same reason, with no T Higgins. The question I'm sort of running into is, do I want to do the double tight end? Do I want to play one of those other receivers? It's probably better to play Higbee in the flex, in my opinion, than it would be to do what I've done some of, which is playing some Cephas and some Osborne. But maybe Higbee's the better option, better route to go. I really like Higbee in this matchup. And I think he has a big day. And it's weird that people are kind of on him because he hasn't really been like a factor so far this season. But I do really like. I do think he's for his price, it's really hard to ignore it for me. And I love Evan Ingram too. So
hey, only because the game's going to be kind of one of the higher total games, and we haven't really talked about him yet. I don't mean to just bring up every single player, but is anybody playing any DeAndre Swift or no?
Yeah, I have him at 5%. Nothing special, nothing crazy.
What about you, Brody?
No, I'm not getting as much Swift. I threw Jamal Williams in a couple. I think if Swift's banged up, I've been watching the news. I don't know if I'll pull him out or not, but
okay.
I think playing from behind, I know both of them catch passes, but I've always liked Jamal Williams as a running back 2 option. So, he's in that 5K price range that I've kind of been targeting for running backs just to get a little different there too with Jamal.
For what it's worth, in his brief young career, DeAndre Swift has averages like I think it's 9 targets a game at home, and
really?
Jared Goff is now the quarterback. Like it's something crazy like that. And partly it's because they get killed, but that should happen again today. So you're going to see a bunch of targets, even if he's banged up. I think he does. I think he gets through it. But I agree that it's kind of hard with the Williams timeshare thing now. Like it's not as appealing to me.
One guy you guys haven't said anything about for running back wise is James Robinson.
Oh no, James Robinson.
That was my first speech. Is I wanted to force him in.
Yeah, I've got him at 20%.
Yeah, I'm forcing him in a lot. So
well, let's talk about somebody else at running back then. Let's talk about since we haven't talked about everybody on the Rams game yet. What do you think about Sony Michel?
Nope.
Okay, that was quick.
I tried to put him in a couple. I took him out of a couple, then I put him back in. I'm just kind of like all over with that. I know some people started talking about him this morning now with Henderson out, but I don't know. I think I can get a better guy there. I like those other 5K guys a little bit better than the 4.9 Sony Michel. So
100% agree. That's just
totally. Now you got Madison too. I know on DK. I don't know how much are you guys gonna get to him on DK? Like at 6'4". I get it, but man, I like the passing attack so bad, so much. I mean,
yeah.
What?
I think he's 6. Isn't he 6K on?
Yeah, he's 6K on DraftKings. But I think on FanDuel at 5,200, it's kind of hard to not.
Yeah, I get it on FanDuel, man.
Yeah, I don't think there's any reason you must play him. I think that Seattle actually
6K, my bad.
As the season progresses, Derrick Henry lit him up, of course. I think you can run the ball on Seattle, but I think their real issues are at corner. And I just think the games have flowed a little bit differently than showing that. Julio had the touchdown called back last week and all that. I think we're gonna see Seattle, Minnesota be really able to throw the ball, which I'm not playing Cousins, but I do like the passing attack quite a bit.
Well, and if we haven't mentioned everybody, you mentioned that there was going to be howling winds in Buffalo. You like any of the running backs there? You like Gibson at all? You even like Singletary a little bit?
No.
Okay.
I very rarely play any running back from Buffalo. It's just they just don't utilize it. Josh Allen is their running back. Every now and then you'll get a play broken. Sure, that can happen for anybody, but I don't think they're the right idea to target for me.
Yeah.
Personally. I really started to get on this Tyson Williams. Why am I not playing Tyson Williams more? Yeah, I think he's the right way to go.
Yeah, I like that because I'm off Lamar, so I should be on Tyson Williams more.
Exactly. They're going to run the ball all over this Detroit.
Damn it, man.
So
I think I got to play some Madison on DK on some of my bigger not bigger buy-ins, but medium buy-ins.
yeah.
I just swapped him out, Delvin Cook for Madison, and then it left me with a perfect swap to Eckler for my other guy. So I'm like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I like Eckler today.
Yeah. Yeah, the cheap wide receiver thing is not really it's not to me the optimum way to go today. Answering Men Taking's question, I think that Osborne, Cephas, maybe Scotty Miller, if you're stacking Tampa, are the ways that you can look to pay way down. But I think if you really want the real value for receiver, I think one of the Jamar Chase, one of the Chris Claypool, Tyler Boyd, those guys, that price range feels like a sweet spot. And then you get Christian Kirk also in there. Oh, he's a little more expensive, but Rondale Moore. Those are the guys I'm looking at to sort of go down to. I'm mostly spending above 5,500 on my receivers today.
I think I got this.
It means I'm not going to be able to play Kamara. I think Claypool. That's the one one of the guys I'm most afraid of being underweight on is Claypool. And I think I'm going to have to force some more. I do have him in one of my 555s for the million. Sheets, are you playing that tournament?
Which one?
You playing the big one on DraftKings, 555?
Nah, I don't know.
Well, get out of here. Come on, man. You're going to win $1 million.
Don't do that. Screw that.
I'll tell you, okay, we'll win this week and then you'll play the 4-4.
Oh, how about I win? I win the $1 million for $5 or whatever. Meanwhile, everybody, well, I did promise I would talk about this a little bit, but dude, nobody's paying a freaking attention to baseball on the freaking weekends. First of all, I got second in the GPP yesterday.
Oh, beautiful! I didn't know
and
that.
Also, like a 3 max. And everybody mocks, but my freaking Angels finally came through and destroyed everything last night. I got like in a bat flip, I got like 7th, and then like every freaking where I couldn't quite get wins anywhere, but they scored freaking 14 runs and with Jared Walsh at 1% ownership. So finally, my freaking Angels got there.
You know that pisses me off because on Friday I was all over Jared Walsh and Max Stassi.
Yeah.
And that would have been nice to play that yesterday.
And I had your dude, man. My big pairing was I had Jordan Lyles, and he just got lit. Hey, I hate when they do this. Like he did everything he needed to do, and they just needed to get him out. But they let him in for like one too many batters, and he gave up a 3-run homer.
This is Roy. It's so funny. I have been the most critical of Jordan Lyles that I have been any pitcher. Which the weird part is that means every time I've liked him, for some reason he's been good. But it is pretty funny that happens. The guy is just I think he genuinely might be one of the worst pitchers in baseball, but he's a battler. He goes and pitches a lot of innings. So that's pretty much, I don't know. He's a weird one. I need James Washington. I think that's a really good off the board play for the millionaire maker. I don't think that it's something you want to try and get overexposed to, but I think that there is some upside for James Washington. Familiarity with and all that with Roethlisberger. We've seen him have those 3 touchdown games before, and with no Deontay Johnson, I think James Washington is viable and a guy who I probably should get a tiny bit of exposure to in my large field. What about you? What are your thoughts on that one, Rody?
Yeah, I was kind of looking at James Washington. I do like. I want to try to get to some like Claypool, or maybe take a shot at him for the Millie Maker. A little bit more, so I really do like that.
Yeah, I have a terrible take on that. I think the Steelers are broken.
Well, their
defense not a bad take though. I mean, they aren't looking that great.
They beat the third favorite to win the Super Bowl already.
I get it.
Like they're that bad, But their defense is legit, and I don't know. Their offense is. They look every time we think Roethlisberger's broken, though, then he goes and throws for like 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. Like, I don't know. I don't know if today is the day, and I don't know if his arm can get it downfield enough to hit James Washington. But I do think that's interesting. I really like Clay. I think Claypool is the guy you're looking at in that game, in my opinion.
I have a question. What a stupid build this is. Marvin Jones or the other guy at the same price. Rondell. Marvin Jones or Rondell, whatever, the other 5K guy, whatever.
Yes, please, is what I would say.
Okay.
I'm into both. I have the exact same amount of ownership on Rondell Moore as I do Marvin Jones.
Okay.
That's where I'm at. I'm sorry, Rudy, how about you?
Yeah, I got a lot of both those guys that you just said, Bobby, and then Rondell Moore is love him.
Yeah, that Rondale Moore. I mean, he's the sexy play. Like that, you watch this guy play, and you just think, "Oh my God, he feels like he could go out and score 30 every week."
I think he just plays well with Murray. Like that.
Murray-
That's the kind of speed guy that he needed.
Exactly right. Speed on speed. I mean, it's so true. We see it with quarterbacks all the time. You know, like you have that fast, speedy quarterback, and you get that receiver, and they just milk the hell out of it. I love it. Sort of like the Russell Wilson Metcalf thing is like the super version of that. But all right, is there anything else we haven't covered before we get out of here, guys? Any other questions? Drop them on in here. I'm still got some building to do. We didn't talk about much FanDuel. I think that the higher price running, but even though like everybody's going to forget about the higher price, like Henry's double the price of some of the other viable running backs. I think he's totally a great play over there, and I think it's easier to get in what you want on FanDuel.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, when I'll go over my stuff because on FanDuel, I had it up when you were talking about the fancy 3K guys that were not playing, whatever. Like FanDuel, I just happened to be looking at my lineups when you were mentioning that, and my FanDuel lineups are pretty. I don't want to say chalky, but they're all. I think they all are like good players. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. As I said, I'm really chalky running backs over there. I'm with the Barkley Madison thing. Really, really heavy. Mm-hmm. Cup. I got a lot of the Rams. I got a lot of KC, Seattle, a lot of Seattle over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have a Kareem Hunt straight laying around. I mean, when you build for the Millie Maker line, it's like a lot of crap ends up happening. I like your idea. You like Jefferson a lot over there, right? In general, right, Rody?
Yeah, Jefferson is big. DK, I'm big on. So yeah, those guys, that game.
Yeah,
I like Woods' price over there. I know he's going to get ownership, but I think Woods is going to have the game over Cup today. I know everyone's on Cup, but I like to get a little bit more Woods. But I'm still getting to some Cup as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Cup as well. I think Woods is going to break through one of these days, and you're going to get him on a jet sweep for a touchdown, and he's going to catch another 7 balls and have another touchdown. Like I just think this feels like the game that's going to happen.
Yeah, somebody mentioned a Cup. I mean, there was like a couple of his touchdowns. He was like wide open or something like that. It was maybe you were mentioning it probably. Yeah.
It was really crazy. I mean, I couldn't believe how open he was. It's like how do you forget about that guy?
What time is the Marvin Jones game? Is that 1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
Yeah,
crap. Okay.
Why is that bad?
I don't know. I'm just wondering about this play. That's my only. I no problem. I X'd out Mike Davis on the DraftKings. I just didn't. I just want no part of it. I'm putting in I have 15% of Cordell Patterson and 0 Mike Davis on DraftKings. And the Mike Davis thing, I just didn't want any part of. The Marvin Jones thing, it's really, I don't know. It's something about it. Something about it I don't like, but I don't know. I just have too much of it. I guess that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
How much Marvin Jones do you have? 30%?
24%.
Yeah, I got 50. So
I'm telling you, I really like to play. Now, don't go and get hurt in the first quarter or something.
All right, so I'm going to make it 80 then. No, I'm just kidding.
I really like Marvin Jones today.
Okay.
I'm such a fan of that game. I think that game is being completely underowned. And look, it could be a blowout, and people act like if there's a blowout somehow that you're not going to be productive. Like, get out of here. That's the perfect game script,
Right.
Especially for a team like make Trevor Lawrence throw it 50 times. It's great,
Yeah.
Perfect run backs with Marvin Jones and Chenault and DJ Shark. I have Patterson. I have 5 big buy-in lineups today on DraftKings, and right now I have Patterson in 2 of them. Okay. I'm thinking that might be a little more than what I want. You like Madison, Brody. It feels very speculative to me. We've seen this happen with Cook before where he ends up playing. On FanDuel, I'm happy to take the risk and then switch if I have to or whatever. But on DraftKings, I don't know where I stand on it. I just am struggling with that play a little bit.
I'm lighter on DraftKings for sure. I don't even have enough time to figure out how to switch them out into most of my lineups that I've already made from late last night after casino or early this morning. So we're just running out of time. We got to get to these other lineups, so we'll just add some exposure there. But we can always late swap, like you said, off him, or figure out how to give yourself like a 2v2 or something. I'm playing some of the later defenses a little bit to be able to, hey, I can like grab a cheaper defense, or grab one of those late. Like I don't mind playing some of the even Seattle, Minnesota if it's going to be high scoring. Maybe there's a turnover, a pick six or something like that too. So Kirk Cousins throws a lot of picks, guys. I don't know if you guys know that or not. So Seattle, wow, this is a good defense.
Targeting against defenses against Kirk Cousins and especially Carson Wentz today.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of Seattle defense late, so that kind of maybe give me some more option.
And in the case that you're right, Sheets, about the Steelers, just I guess maybe I agree in some sense because my highest owned defense is not even close on DraftKings. It's the Bengals at 30+%. I needed to pay down a defense, and I couldn't even afford to get to the Titans, who are my favorite of the lower, the cheaper defenses, but I needed every $100, so every bit. So I played the Bengals quite a bit.
Did you play Mixon at all?
See, I'm stuck a little bit. I'm not getting to. I love like Mixon, and these are the two most. They are out on the field more than any other running back in football, and it feels kind of weird not to have some of that. Both he and Harris, and I feel like Harris is going to break a slate at some point, and this might be the day he does it. That's just my take. So I would like to get a little bit of it, to be honest. I just don't currently have much.
Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of Mixon, not much though.
How about the other side? How about Harris?
I'm pretty light on him. He might be my weak point there. So,
I mean, yeah, and then I guess it really does depend on game flow, but he's going to get opportunities against a suspect defense, and I think that his price is a little hard. Maybe I'm underweight on that range. I do have some Jonathan Taylor. I did some Saquon, but I'm not heavy on Carson. I'm not heavily on Harris. I'm not heavily on Mixon, and those are the ones that really scare me, are the Mixon and Harris, more so even than the Carson. Although I could see Carson lighting up this Minnesota team. All right. Any other questions? And we will jump on out of here. Any Sterling Shepard? I do like Sterling Shepard. He and Ingram are who I'm pairing in my Daniel Jones lineups. How about you guys?
I don't have no Daniel Jones lineups. So.
Even still, I just think that Shepard's a good play. But
I like Ingram. I like Shepard. And there's one other guy, by the way. You mentioned the and I'll just throw it out just because I got to him in a couple of builds. I ended up not using him. But if you're going to play that Carter guy, he's on the Jets.
Yeah.
I like the other one. Isn't that other guy still there, Ty Johnson?
What about him though?
Oh, I just figured he'd be an option, but I guess not.
I mean, the work sort of has gone a little bit between the two of them. I guess that's fine. It's just a split running back situation. So yeah, you could get Ty Johnson. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay.
Anyway. All right, guys. I'm trying to finish my build here, so I'm going to get out of here in just a second. They did make James Washington 4K, which is a little bit irritating to me. I would have had a little more interest in him if he was a little bit cheaper.
They did not make him 4K?
They made him 4K.
Oh, okay.
And that will allow
I'm not getting any of them.
Yeah. A little too much, in my opinion. All right. All right, guys.
So.
Yes, Timothy, I am playing some Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yeah, you have to.
I love that Cheech is with me on this.
I have 23% Cordarrelle Patterson on DraftKings.
I feel so alone in it, except for Sheets. I've heard a lot of people talk about him. I don't think that many people actually play him. That's my.
No one's going to play him because everybody's going to project for Mike Davis. I mean, Mike Davis sucks. I don't want to hear it.
I don't disagree. Mike Davis sucks, but I like his price, and I hate Cordarrelle Patterson. I'm probably zero Cordarrelle Patterson. So
yeah,
I'm on the opposite end.
Hey, hopefully one of us wins. You know what I mean?
I like, hopefully.
I hope he doesn't come up with like 2.5x or something like that. You know what I mean?
I like Pitts or Ridley more in that game anyway, to be honest.
I like Ridley, actually.
Mike Davis, but I kind of want the Pitts and Ridley on that.
I really like that too. Yeah, I'm not a big Mike Davis guy. I do like the price. I have some of him. I think Eckler I've got 30% of. Edwards-Helaire I have 20% of, but he's so cheap.
I am going to be, just so everybody knows, I'll be putting up the showdown slate stuff a little bit later for later. And I don't think I'm going to have time to put up afternoon slate stuff, but I'll definitely put up the showdown slate stuff.
Like it. Nice. Thanks for doing that, Sheets. All right. I'm going to just finish this last thing. Guys, any other questions before we get out of here? We'll give you another 30 seconds, I guess, is what we've got here.
We'll hit 30 seconds.
You know, I do want to say one other guy who's going to be overlooked today. Don't cross out Kareem Hunt. There's no.
I was telling him I have one of him on FanDuel. I have him.
I like that. Yeah. I think that he's in play. The FanDuel pricing on the running backs really make it tempting to go double spend. I'm sorry, double cheap. Cheap in your flex. Cheap in your flex. I'm on Patterson. Great call. Tony, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, buddy. But don't say it's a great call yet. Let's wait to see what happens. And of course, you know what's going to happen? He's going to have 2 fantasy points this week and put up 35 next week or something something weird like that. All right, guys. I'll let you guys go. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in with us. Really, really appreciate you guys being here. And let's go, Team True DFS. Let's have somebody. Let's pull a roadie this week and then have somebody with a shot left.
But we should honestly do it. I'll tell you something. You know, that was a lot of fun the other day when I actually had the live sweat with that baseball showdown thing. If anybody's like live for something, you know, let's try to ping us and we'll root it in or something like that.
Yeah, well,
I love
the idea, man. It scares the hell out of me. Sheets has seen me break down once on a.
I have.
Basketball, the buzzer beater, and going into overtime for a game that I was winning 160K, and I was like, the only thing you need, a guy hits a half court shot to go to overtime, and I was like, I just started screaming. That was
fun. That was not fun. That was not a lot of. And then you recorded it, and I'm like, I think you should probably. I mean, it's good. It's good theater, but I don't know if we should keep that up there.
It's down.
No, I know.
It's definitely down now. All right. Good luck to everybody out there. Good luck, Sheets. Good luck, Rody. Good luck, True DFSers. And let's make some money.
Later.